Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the show, broadcast. Let's look at this. We say the things to help dispel inferiority, regain confidence in our authority. We want to open up all eyes wide shut at this time. Give it to you in the raw, unfiltered, uncut. Got to deal with that mental health. Get back to that black wealth. We dismantle indoctrination by having all the hard conversations. And truly, we got some hard conversations that we got to deal with. And, we're going to try to work it out. And it's all about problem solving. Some topics you may dispute, except the ones you shouldn't refute. You must continue to buy for yourself, with yourself, to get yourself right in your community. Get your communities back, rebuild that tent. As we reference to, that would be in the Bible. That's what it's referencing to, rebuilding your tent that you actually are seeing physically in front of you. Greet you with good morning. I am Dr. K and my co-host, Minister P. How you doing, Minister P?
I'm doing great, Dr. K. This is Minister P bringing you peace and reality, and we're just thankful that all of our friends, viewers, listeners, and supporters are here today to hear this message.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to lead off with our code. 1, speak politely. 2, pay fairly for what you buy. 3, return everything you borrow. 4, pay for everything you damage. 5, do not hit or swear at people. 6, don't take liberties with women if they don't give you the liberty to be with them. 7, do not damage property or crops. 8, if you ever have to take captive of someone, don't ill treat them. And definitely always try to obey orders in all of your actions as best as you can, so you don't get involved in situations. Of course, the point is to avoid law. People who are considered to be law enforcement, try to avoid them at all costs if you can. Go ahead, Minister P.
Absolutely. Listen, the 5 ethical codes that we need to go by, guidelines are: first, number 1, have integrity, doing what's right. Have unity, learn to work together, brothers and sisters. Number 3, objectivity, have a vision, know where you're going. Number 4, confidentiality, don't speak my business and I won't speak your business. Number 5 ethical code is you want personal growth. You want to become men and women that's successful in the community. 5 ethical codes.
All right. Let's get started this morning. That goes into reference to what we deal with on a daily, Mr. Speedy. The news can be so bombarded with a mass part of information that could clearly confuse you, put you in a mass aspect of confusion, and put you in a daze, more or less. You'll be dazed by the time you get through looking at and trying to grasp all of that information and then trying to retain it, which may even give you an option to try to bring in points of solution. So it seems like they do this intentionally, so you can't think. Your mind is, of course, worried about everyday life, whether you're on a job or you're trying to maintain some point of paying some bills or whatever it may be that's in front of you that may be a hindrance of trying to bring you to a point to where you can think logically and become a problem solver. We tend to be distracted and confused, and then it puts us in a daze. That's the whole purpose of the topic. It's dazed and confusion. Not confused, but you're in a mass of confusion, meaning that there's so much going on Um, and now if I administer, so if I throw this at you, you tell
Mm-hmm.
me at the end of it, how would you feel? So let's just say I'm a newscaster, right? So bringing
Mm-hmm.
you, because I mean, of course, we need to know what's going on. But at the same time, if I'm just bombarding you with something and you can't really decipher on becoming a problem solver, how would you feel if I did this to you? Let me just run this past you and tell me how you feel about this. Today's news. Chicago Travel Advisory, COVID precautions advise 9% of the U.S. under guidance. Now, this is COVID new variants that's involved. So mild or high risk by Centers of Disease Control Prevention has unveiled new travel advisory recommendations aligned with federal guidelines. And other news brings Ukraine live news. Biden holds talks with top gold officials to force possibly to go to war. So, as they say, is the might meet with Warsaw Ukrainian ministers and first face-to-face talk between the U.S. president and top global officials that the Russian invasion began. And the Ukrainian president Vladimir Zelensky calls on energy-producing countries to increase output to stop Russia from using its oil and gas wealth to blackmail other nations. And just a sidebar, blackmail, but we'll move on. Uh, Congress passes 13.6 billion in Ukraine aid along with government funding. So more dollars sent out of the community that we needed the most somewhere else. Reverend Jesse Jackson rings the New York Stock Exchange bell. Sharon Bowen making U.S. NY Stock Exchange, New York Stock Exchange chair. Reverend Jesse Jackson ended the 25th push Wall Street Project economic summit that he held 25 years ago at the New York Stock Exchange, closing the bell. This year, Wall Street history was made. He made help ringing the bell. Sharon Bowen, a financial securities lawyer who had the board chair in the New York Stock Exchange, first Black woman to grant a prominent role. Next in our news, we are dealing with we passed why Tennessee comptroller racist hostile takeover of the black town may fail after all. Makes Tennessee from prominently black town of about 1,500 should benefit from the construction of 15-point Ford plan nearby. Next in news, history within the race. Within this reach, tells Congress to pass H.R. 40 bill. Now, H.R. 40 bill, the time for UNES accounts for its legacy of slavery long overdue. In November 2020 elections, voters made clear that they wanted their elected leaders to prioritize. Sorry, excuse me.
Come on, newscaster.
I know. Prioritize racial justice, passing H.R. 40 in one way for Congress to show that it has. And later in the news, of course, here we are now, we have, which is in the news of the Black News Channel shuts down after rating highs. After days of rating highs, the channel shuts down, has pulled the plug after 2 years of venture, failed to meet payroll and lost the backing of his big investor. This is the investor here, one of the investors. And of course, to top off the financial news, Family Wealth different distributes in thousands of 292 as of 2019 dollars. As you can see, it was 25 percentile, 50 percentile median, 70 percentile. As every year, it said Black wealth per dollar of white wealth, Hispanic wealth per dollar of white wealth. So you can see the breakdown. Hispanics, for every $5, we have Hispanics in the 20 percentile for $36 for whites and 40 cents for blacks. 20 percentile, wow. 50 percentile, the median, you have $38 per Hispanic, $184 per white, and $23 per black. And in the 75th percentile, you have $176 per Hispanic, $564 per white, and $120 per black. per household family. And that's in today's news. So now, Minister P, if you, and you know, I was doing that purposely just to throw that at you. Now I threw about 7 or 8 topics at you.
Absolutely. And listen, we know that that is confusing. Sometimes it might be even conflicting, and overwhelming, because all of that news thrown at you, hitting your mind at the same time, and you're asking your mind to decipher all of this and see where it's coming from. But listen, we're talking about dazed and confusion, and you can become dazed and confused with all that information and misinformation. However, this is how, Dr. K, we should handle things like this push of news being just rammed at us. We have to understand what fits us, what hits us in our community, what affects us. Anything other than that is uh, unusable information. So to not become dazed and confused, we got to understand. Look, because one of the two of the things that I pulled out when I heard the black station losing its backing after a high rating. Oh, that's a concern to me because we're in the black community. The other thing is that black wealth breakdown. Now, and then of course the $13 billion that our country is sending off. Those things are affecting us. Anything other than that, it didn't affect me.
Right, right. You know, and I meant to throw this in there. And later in news, you know, this is to me, this is where they end up to really. Now you already dazed and confused about all that information, right? So as I got you on your heels, why not throw this in there
Mhm.
just to confuse you even more? Critics accuse trans swimmer star Layla Thompson having an unfair advantage. The data tells a different story. So now here's used to be male, a female now winning a national championship in swimming. And later, as I read and did the research, will it compete in the 2024 women's swimming Olympic challenge in the women's division in the Olympics in 2024? So here again, you got all this mass confusion of news that you are trying to decipher, and then later in the news they throw this out at you. And how are we to take this and analyze it? And some, like you say, it may not concern you right off the bat, but here's the individual. If you stop and did the research on this individual, is in law school, trying to be and get involved in being the first transgender to be in the Supreme Court or into the Congress. So you know this of course brings great concern, because then now it will be trying to make laws for itself, of course, to be spanned out to others, and then that of course would change them. Now again, people, let me just make you understand this, and let's be clear, to make it plain and simple. We don't incentivize hate as reference to that. If that's what you chose to do for your personal environment, that's your personal environment. So we don't bash anybody based on what they wanted to do sexually. That is your choice. But don't make it my problem, because that's some choice that you live with inside your personal self. Now it's a problem out in the world because you're not getting the attention that you're looking for. So I advise our people to not make that our fighting goal. All we can do is just, hey, we pat you on the back in your endeavors, and that's your personal adventure that you would like to pursue. But don't try to elevate this into law, so you can become either equal to me as being what I am considered to be in this society as a black male, or something greater because of your sexuality. Sexuality is based in your bedroom and in your home. It have nothing to do with what goes on inside your four walls of your home. As your personal issue, not mine or anybody else's. So that's where it becomes uninviting when you try to bring it out into the forefront. And then we can go in real detail that Minister P has reference to how this looks as far as competing as you used to be a man, but now you winning national championships as a man in the women's division. So that can go so many different ways as far as competing in a sport. But any case, and we should move on because I don't want to stay on that topic much because it's a little. I'm getting a little dazed thinking about it and confused. So, that entails to bring a whole lot of different things. That's roughly what you're talking about. This be the Black News Channel. Why they would have high ratings, and from what I'm understanding, the one of the Black gentleman who was one of the main financial backers before this other gentleman that was shown in the picture of Middle Eastern descent. I believe he had pulled out his financial because, of course, I'm not sure if he wasn't getting enough backing, but that goes to show you as reference to I see our broadcasts get shunned, and we get attracted to other media outlets that possibly could even be lying to you. So when we try to come up with something and bring you the truth, oh, I don't want to hear that. So my thing is, how dazed and confused are we? Are we looking into what is supposed to be really pertinent for us and really vital, and what's supposed to be? Now we're looking for the CR, right? We talked about that before, and we're looking for constructive results. We're not looking just for entertainment. So, in that aspect of why that news channel failed, that's the only thing I can see why it failed, because here's a gentleman who's looking for other backers who look like him, and he's not receiving that welcome from others. And that can be same with our platform. Now, here we're on this platform, we're backing it ourselves, and we're getting a few dollars here and there from people that enjoy and trying to get educated better. But if we don't have a conglomerate of backers, that could surely, if we were bigger, that would oppose us to have to go into voting too, and possibly right. and may have some high ratings, but still.
Listen, many backers reaches many people, and that's how it is. The more you back us, the more we can reach more people and get this information of edification, encouragement, and empowerment out there. But one of the things, Dr. K, I just want to say about that is, again, we as a community must wake up, and find out what's priority to us. Listen, that racer, that swimmer doesn't put bread on the table for us. We have to find out what affects us in our community. Now, those issues of the Black wealth breakdown, brothers and sisters, this is the area we need to do research into. Understand that there's a breakdown, and we're coming up short. Let's research why. There was a Black station with high ratings. All of a sudden, it's being dissolved. Let's research into that and understand why. Let's start understanding the politics and the dynamics of things that affect our community in real time. I know there's a 5-year down the road period. There's a 10-year down the road, because all of that affects our children and coming up and leaders coming up. But right now, what affects us, we got to research and we have to prioritize that.
Yeah, we do. We really do. We can't get bombarded by a garbage bag
misinformation
of news. Yeah,
misinformation. There you go. That's it.
And the garbage bag full of it. Yeah, we can't let that really affect us. When we, of course, there was one of the 2 stories I wanted to add in there, Ministry, about even more dazed and confused situations that we have. We have two of these. This here just shown in the screen. Supreme Court justice nominees, one of Clarence Thomas, who has been a Supreme Court justice for many years now. You see who he's with, and then this Ketanji Brown Jackson, see who she's with, and again, more confusion as reference to, I guess this is supposed to bring about justice because we see a black man with a white woman and a black woman with a white man, and they are in a supreme, what they see, we pay attention to the wrong reference of words. Supreme Court. The Supreme Court really is appointed by a president. So they don't, for you to have their interests, you have to have actually either have been with them in their corner as they were appointed to the Supreme Court, or you have to have been in some higher place to have appointed them, or been connected to getting them appointed. So just more of days and confusion, thinking that we're going to achieve justice through these two individuals, which is not the case. We have to pay attention to that. We will never achieve, in that case, Minister Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, if we were going to achieve justice through the Supreme Court as black individuals in society, do you believe that Clarence Thompson should have done it?
I'm looking at the situation, why he is in the news right now with the cover up of this January 6th situation where the Texas he voted against, looking into the Trump situation. My thing is, when you voted against that, that's a problem. That's a huge problem, whether you're white or black. That's a huge problem, and it showed in agenda. And guess what, Dr. K? That hidden agenda came out now. See, listen, what's done in the dark is going to come out in the light. You may get past a couple of years, listen, but it's coming out. And what's happening now, he's having a coming out party, getting ready to get busted. And guess what? I hope it happens real soon. I hope it happens real soon.
In that clearing of the dazing and coming out of that daze, hopefully it clears out this Ketanji Brown too, because I don't want her to get started on her platform either. Because again, surely if he was in office, as reference to being appointed now as Supreme Court justice, surely justice should have been achieved through him as a black individual. So it should have been now all of a sudden, oh, become a black woman. Now it has to be that she's with another. It's two peas in a pod of the opposite. Again, no justice achieved in that. So again, all this mutter of dazed and confusion that they throw at us, and it's so much. Again, Ms. B, it's hard to decipher out which is important for the most part for some people, because some people will grasp all that information, and then you hear, because as I've heard somebody say, "Oh, that's just too much information." I've heard somebody say that before. That's too much information. So if that's too much information, and for you to decipher, how are you to be a problem solver? How are you to come up with solving problems if all this information is thrown at you, and then more or less, between these two individuals, you can't even do anything about it?
Well, I have absolutely no problem with Judge Jackson at all.
I do. Yeah, you're looking at it. That's why I put it out there. You're looking at it, because I'm not. Again, how am I going to achieve justice? I should have achieved justice through this gentleman right here, Clarence Thomas, correct? He's been in the Supreme Court for over 20 years. So why is it all of a sudden now in 2022, we need somebody else that looks like us? I mean, that should have ran through him. But is it that the Supreme Court only has so much that they can do anyway? Now, that's the question that we should really ask.
Well, of course, listen, you have other judges. Clarence Thomas is not the Supreme Court system himself. He has other people working around him. And so he may push an agenda, but others vote against it. So that's why you have that's why you put more people with this mind thought on the Supreme Court. So you can either be liberal or conservative. And so that's what's happening now. It's becoming more a liberal and not as conservative as it was before. Remember the Declaration of Independence? When they signed that, you didn't have any diversity at all. It was just one thought, conservatism. And so now we have a little bit of liberalism in there. I want to get back to that. No, I absolutely, I heard your side of it, Dr. K, but I have absolutely no problem with Judge Jackson. And I'm looking forward to her serving. Um, Listen, her
Hey,
personal
serving
story,
to do what? That's the key thing. Serving to do
serving
what?
to make some legislation and some impact.
She
That's
don't
why
have the power to do it. That's why we go into what is the responsibilities of the Supreme Court. Now, they only have small aspects of what they can do. If you're going to achieve justice, you have to achieve justice through Congress. Congress is really one who passes a lot of
right.
things. The Supreme Court,
They make the law.
yeah,
Congress makes the law, and the Supreme Court works under the law that Congress has made. So it, like it's up to her now to prioritize those laws that Congress, which is Democrats and Republicans, have made. And so that's her job. And I'm looking forward to her doing it, and getting things done in that area. Now, our problem is Congress.
yeah.
Our problem is Congress. Listen, let me tell you something about this confirmation Senate hearing that they are subjecting her to. Listen, this is nothing more than a public spectacle reminiscent of a Jim Crow era verbal lynching. It's a spectacle.
It is. It is.
You're demeaning a black woman. You're asking her demeaning questions. You're asking her what's her description, a definition of a woman. You don't know what a woman is.
You
Why?
know
Why
who
would
they
you?
did that to in history, Minister P?
Who's that?
Sojourner Truth. So here we
Yeah.
are, right
Who?
back in history, doing this right on live TV. But
On
they
live.
did it in public to Sojourner Truth, to saying, "Hey, are you?" She said, "Well, I'm a woman." They told her to prove it. And what does she have to do? Well, I hope they don't make this individual here do that on national TV. But it wouldn't surprise me if they did.
Surprised me.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. But I'll say this as reference to her being, the problem I have with is, of course, who she's married to, and that's my own personal situation, because I can't look to achieve justice through somebody who's in a bed with somebody that doesn't look like you, because they can sway you in a different direction, and that's to be researched and looked at, because let's just understand that. That's why we have to be careful in reference to what we go along with, and then really underlining and studying and paying attention to what is out there. Not saying that she may, but again, we go into what is her duties as being the Supreme Court justice that she is appointed to do, right?
Right.
So here's the decisions of the Supreme Court justice, and that's all of them: deciding which case to hear, deciding individual cases, and determining an examination of or decision on lower court cases. Not even court cases in the federal, lower court cases, meaning in the states. So they really have no power. I mean, these are people who are appointed. They can go and drink coffee from Monday through Friday and do nothing. If you really look at their job duties, they have lifetime jobs. They've been given. They were appointed by somebody who's elected president. So nobody
we'll
can
see
make them accountable. That's the problem with that. Nobody can make them accountable.
Yeah.
That's why Clarence Thomas is able to hurdle all these little tricks, and get away with it. And we not making him accountable.
He's about to get busted.
Well, I hope the right people bust him in the situation that he's in. Because again, as we've seen over time, there's been situations to where he's scathed out of based on how he was appointed. He was appointed during the Clinton era of administration. Well, Clinton went down Now, Clinton went down. Just want to touch on that real quick. So our topic, most people are dazed to thinking that he went down based on the alleged sexual accusations of Monica Lewinsky. If you really research, he was up for to be ostracized out of the White House. He really committed treason. He wasn't up like Donald Trump was, looked to be moved out of office based on some wrongdoings, as such as the thing on the Capitol. But he committed treason if you really deeply research what he did. And behind that was just a cover up. But any case, moving on, that's a whole nother topic to get into. But like you say, Minister Speak, that whole process of, it's just to me, just to watch and see what her actions. But like you said, I agree with you on that. Again, she's being placed on as a spectacle and attacked for the most part. So and that's an example as reference to our Black women to not get caught up in that independent role, saying I don't need any help or protection from my counterpart. And so that could be a tricky thing to get into, because we've seen that down through history as our community has separated themselves, and the Black woman saying, "Hey, I'm independent. I can do this alone." And then, what is alone? So you can raise a boy to be a man? Help me out with that, Minister P, because if a woman can raise a boy to be a man, then maybe we got something wrong here.
Hey, here it is. Listen, marriage is between a man and a woman, and they raise their family according to certain values. Um, God said that there is a thing called family. So the mother and the father get together, husband and wife, and they have children. That's called the family. And so each family is taken care of course, by the parents until those children grow up and become parents, and that's how it goes. That's the format.
Yeah.
That's how it's supposed to be.
It's the formula. That's the formula. That is the formula. You're right. That is the formula. That's the formula of what we, supposed to be wrapped up in. That's the code. It's just like the electrical code, right? You don't deviate from hooking up this light switch. It's either gonna be on and off. That's the basis of a family. It has a two-part system of a code that is never to be deviated from, never to be tampered with, always to be. There's no confusion in that, right? You have a family. There's no confusion. There's no breaking point in that family. But here we are being thrown all this days and confusion.
And here it is, Dr. K. Listen, in that family unit, remember, everybody has their role. The husband has a role. The woman has a role. Each of them has their own life goals and expectations that they are supposed to reach, which enriches the family. And the children, they have their role. They are to listen and learn until it's time for them to go out and become parents and have children, where their children listen and learn from them. Now, here's the problem. The children nowadays are listening and learning from who? Where are they getting their values from? Well, our society is showing exactly where they're getting their values from, because we're seeing a lot of things happening out in the street. The street is drawing our children away from the family unit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just to add another aspect of Dazed and Confusion, we went over one of the topics, and as you see, I'm back doing a backdrop of topics and going back into all the confusion and dazing that I threw at you when we started out, and jumping over words and just throwing anything out there and seeing what sticks. See if you're catching anything. So back to Reverend Jesse Jackson. He rings closing bell at the New York Stock Exchange on Monday, and it says in this particular news article in the paper that I have, Reverend Jesse Jackson rings closing bell at the New York Stock Exchange. And then in the lower left subtitle, it says honors 25 anniversary, the honors 25th anniversary of Push Wall Street project. And then at that, it it says pause, calls for end to Asian hate. Now, just a personal question, Minister B. Have you ever practiced Asian hate?
No, I have not.
So I'm a little
You know,
confused about that, about the topic. What does this have to do with the New York Stock Exchange and Rainbow Push ringing the bell and this project that they're embarking on? Now he told the paper that I have, of course, is a local Chicago paper, and now as I kind of peruse through the readings, towards the end of the first page of the article, it says Jackson said the Rainbow Push Coalition must include everyone. He told the Chicago Crusader, which is the paper that I have, this Asian hate must end, and reflected on Dr. King's last birthday and how he met with a number of people of different races, including Asians, and he planned his poor people's campaign. So I hope this article is not directed, because I mean, for the most part, the Crusader is Black-owned news. Local Chicago paper here in the city of Chicago, and other nationalities do not possibly read it, hoping that statement wasn't directed towards us. And the so-called hatred that he's talking about, I can't recall of any that I can remember. Asian hate or any other type of Chinese, Japanese, Taiwanese. I don't recall hating anybody like that or doing it to anybody to that extent. So I'm a little confused on what he's talking
about. And see, that doesn't look. There's something called grabbing 15 minutes of fame when you can, and that may fall into that category. Listen, none of that affects our community. We're not out there perpetrating that type of hatred. But what we are being victimized is hatred towards us. And that's the thing that needs to stay central in our focus. Central, and listen, we have to remember people. We have to remember Laquan McDonald. We have to remember Trayvon Martin. We have to remember George Floyd. We have to remember Sandra Bland. We have
Freddie
to remember
Gray.
These names.
Keep going.
Yes. You have more names, and so we must keep that in our focus. That is our focus.
Look, one name in there, just to interject real quick, and I'm gonna let you continue, Minister P. First name should have been out of this article. What he should have said, instead of Asian hate, he should have said reference to hate on somebody who, as a young brother, prior to those young men and young women that you mentioned, Emmett Till. Continue, Minister P.
Come on now. Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old boy that was playing in the park with a gun, a play gun at that. And you know the distinguishing colors of a play gun, you know that's not a gun. And so these two officers pulled up and killed that 12-year-old boy and got acquitted for it. We must remember those things, our Black leaders, Jesse Jackson, or other Black leaders that can get in the news and gain 15 minutes of fame when they can. Bring those up consistently. I'm going to tell you this. One of the things that the Republicans do is that they repeat the same thing over and over and over again until you start thinking it's the truth. Listen, you can repeat a lie over and over again, and then it'll start sounding like the truth. Well, we must start doing the same mindset, getting our picture out there, You're killing black folks. There's black hatred going on. There's black reciprocity that needs to occur. These things, there's black help in the community that is needed. Housing, homes, hospitals, jobs, all of these things. We're losing. Listen, we think, okay, February, Black Month, and then we forget about it. This is
just
March.
that quick.
We just that quick.
And March roll into Women's Month. That's how they separate us.
But my thing is, open your mouth every single day. Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere affects justice everywhere. And the squeaky wheel gets the what? It gets the oil. We must continue to remember these people and understand what's going on in our society towards us.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, as reference is said by our elderly brother, Nelly Fuller. He says that all the time. He's wrote his books on that. Man is in his 80s, and he's still holding on, talking and saying that you have 2 points of justice. Justice meaning one, that everybody in the room, justice is supposed to mean everybody gets it everywhere in all areas of activity. And 2, justice meaning that person who needs the most constructive help gets it.
Yeah. So
if that's not happening, then the word justice means nothing.
Absolutely.
And we're just everybody that has a platform, whether you be popular or non-popular, everybody's just talking. And we're just talking, wasting our time. If there's no point of justice, we're wasting our time. We should just let things be as they may. Use these old cliches, it is what it is, and everything is everything, and just move on with life. And then we just throw the chips up, and wherever they lay, they lay. So if it can't be justice at all, then I don't know what it needs to be. You know, on this platform, we talk about that all the time. We talk about the needs and the help and how things need to, so we don't be dazed and confused in society. So we don't get trampled over of articles, and we read this article. Yeah, he right. We need to stop Asian hate, and you just go along with what's thrown at you. And then 2 years down the road, you're like, what? Wait a minute. I've been shopping at Asian stores for 20 years. What are you talking about? I mean, I ain't never did no direct Asian hate to people. And talking about equality for Asians. It's like, what? And then I forget about self. We say it again, Minister P. When you're on a plane and a flight attendant all the flight attendants are in the respective aisles of where they need to be to address and show direction. What is one of the first things they tell you in the case of an emergency?
Putting on the mask or something?
Yeah. They tell you to put the mask on yourself first. They didn't say look back at Mother Smith that's 5 rows back and she need her mask on. If you're gasping for air, how are you going to reach Mother Smith? How are you going to reach her if you can't breathe?
Right. Absolutely.
So that we need to get that locked in. We as our people, a lot of our people are fortunate enough to be flying different places. Flights were cheap, but they say that over and over and over again, and we don't equate the analogy in our minds, and we don't apply it to our situation in our society, in our community. We don't apply it. We go and try to put masks on everybody else besides ourselves, and we're hanging on. We're a person with triple asthma. And we struggling to breathe. Right, 400 years of asthma, struggling to breathe, getting worse, and we still not hearing that. What you say? You put the mask on I can't do that. I gotta go help somebody else. Why do we keep to make these vast mistakes over and over and over again? Minister, if you clearly would give us the scriptures reference to what it says about either taking the land. This is what God told us to do, right?
Absolutely.
That's He told us. He told us what to do. And that's why we really can't relate and connect to that true aspect of Israel. We really can't connect ourselves to who we were. That was us. And that's why we're still in the faith of, still in the mindset of suffering. Let's just get it clear and make it plain. Who you see now is portraying this Israelite. That's a facade. That's not even real. That's like you looking at Sesame Street or coloring book. It's not real. Looking at Big Bird. That's not real. That Big Bird can talk. The Israelites that you're looking at is right here in America. We're still in the bondage. We're still in suffering. We're still held captive by this Pharaoh. We're still held captive. We haven't retreated and reproved from because we disobeyed in direct order. Direct orders now. That's why we haven't come up fully out of our suffering, because we continue to disobey as reference to what is supposed to happen. And we don't want it to happen. It's almost as if we are afraid of PORWE. We're afraid of it. Why be afraid of something that was been given upon you?
Yeah, listen, you mentioned it in your pre-show soundbite when you were talking about our authority. That's what we have, brothers and sisters, viewers and listeners. We have authority. If there is an innate authority in our community, we have the power. We just have to wake up and use it, and we're starting to make that shift. I see that shift happening in shows like this and others and other places. That shift is happening. We are waking up. We are becoming awoke now, and we are seeing our possibilities. We must understand what affects us is healthcare, housing, education, and economics. But getting back to our subject, dazed and confused, I when I looked at that subject that you gave us, Dr. K, which is brilliant, the word dazed, it means stunned with a heavy blow. It means a shock. It means bewilderment. And confused means to make unclear, to throw off. And here's the thing with me, because I'm kind of athletic, and I love boxing coming up, and so I always go back to the Thriller in Manila with Ali and Frazier, and so there was Ali dancing and prancing, stinging like a butterfly, floating like a bee, and so all of a sudden Joe Frazier comes up with a left hook, bam, and knocks Ali down. Ali was dazed and he was confused. He was stunned with a heavy blow, which was a left hook from Joe Frazier, and down goes Ali. He was confused until he came back to his wits. So this is the same thing that we are experiencing here in society with all these conglomerates of news. It's a heavy blow. We can be stunned by it. But here's the thing: how to get around that. And then Ali, once he got up, he realized this too. And this is the same thing that can permeate through our community and help the Black community realize. Listen, if you don't want to get dazed and confused by a Joe Frazier left hook, watch this. Here it is. Don't get hit. Don't get hit. Don't get hit with the propaganda. Don't get hit with the misinformation. Don't get hit with the disinformation and the influence that the media can have. Understand what pertains to you. What puts bread on your table, bread and butter on your table. What relates to you? And these are Black issues that relate to our community. Other than that, it's not misinformation, but disinformation. And there's a difference.
Oh yeah, that's well said, Minister D. We don't want to get the disinformation, and we always have to hang on and deal with logic. We don't follow anyone; we follow the logic. Because if it logically don't make sense, why follow it? And we have to be in that same right. We have to be more of getting into the problem solving mode. It's just as simple as that. If you have a problem that you're looking and you're faced with, surely you're looking to resolve it.
Yeah.
Just like Minister P, you say, oh well, man, my headlights won't come on in the nighttime. You, right on your car. You should just say they won't come on. Do you just say, well, oh well,
Oh well.
I'm not gonna worry about it.
Hold up. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. But then when I'm going down this dark road that I gotta travel later in the week, and I think to myself, oh my goodness, I got this problem on my hand. I should have resolved this when I had the chance to. See?
Yeah. Great analogy.
That's where we miss. We have to get back into becoming problem solvers, and that's what we've gotten away from. We're looking for somebody else. We're looking for someone else now to solve our problems. Someone else. And Minister P, and I'm not going to call your age, but in the many of years of your age, who has resolved our issues?
Listen, I'm 64. I mean, go ahead, call my age. Look, I got a lot of wisdom. I'm 64 years old. But who has resolved our issues? Listen, that's why we're creating leaders right now that can really address the issues that we are really facing in real life, in real time. You go out to these to the suburbs and you look at the situations in those towns, in those communities. And I'll often look at Flint, Michigan again, and those issues. We have to stand up and get leaders that will address that. You know what caused that Flint, Michigan situation with the water? Well, they didn't want to spend money
Yep.
in that community. They said it was too expensive, and that the lives there didn't deserve getting that money.
Now,
Are you
where's the
kidding me?
justice? Where's the justice in that, Minister?
Absolutely nowhere. Because right now, Dr. K, you have kids that now have developed mental issues and now are reliant on the drugs and things to normalize their thinking processes. This has gone down through generations, years and years and years. This is totally ridiculous. And so we must fight for ourselves, and by producing leaders that will stand up and address our issues: healthcare, housing, education, and economics. That was a travesty. Those children, Dr. K, those children, man.
I let you know that this system that we live in doesn't care, and that equates to the situation that we talk about. It is almost equal to the situation in Mason, Tennessee, with reference to trying to remove the charter so the Ford plant can't come in. And if Ford, if anything, a lot of the atrocities that they've done in the past, to some point trying to make a correction in it, and that's bringing the jobs there for the people. That's some help. That's going to bring some. That force may the marketplace is going to be greater, because now it's going to afford the Black community there, the people who even surround, whoever even wants to even help, to come in to help, to say, hey, yeah, we want to be a part. Now that's the collective aspect of the diaspora of communities.
That's it.
Now that's where everybody comes in at the table and say, hey, all right, here, the population may be majority Black, but we now we can say we're looking to bring in the people that may be aligned as reference to poor. Now you can say, now across the board, now we can start to practice justice.
Come on now. That's
now we can start to practice justice. But if that don't happen, there will be no justice in that. And still to this day, there's no justice in Flint, Michigan. No justice now. And then a lot of these things is one of the lakes that they have out in here in America that so many people that drowned in. Some people know the history behind it. But in any case, they there was just so much. There was no economics thrown into that community. I was doing the research, and which is wouldn't be too far. It's far enough, but it's still in our state. You talk about Cairo, Illinois.
Yeah, right.
Some people pronounce it Cairo, but here in that town now, And they say their excuse is that, oh, this was a national park, but the national park hasn't been upkept. Population there it's been race riots down through the years. They've tried to uproot a lot of the blacks that was in that community. Mississippi, I have a book that even talks about Cairo, Illinois, as reference to some of the atrocities that happened to some of the blacks that was there in the town. There's a man that they show who was alive, and they said they say due to one of the race riots that happened there, in the picture, they actually cut this brother's head off and put it on a stick. It's in Cairo, Illinois. And to this day, still, this is one of the towns in America. There's still no funding, but you got $13 billion to send to Ukraine. When Ukrainians are been running. Again, Ukrainians in right here in Chicago. There used to be a full Ukrainian village of Ukrainians. So I can't, that's meant to be that what hinders me of sending a prayer that way. For what? Because they ain't sending no prayers this way. The only prayers they getting is dollars prayers. Because Biden showed us, his administration said, hey, look, well, they need help over there. What about the war that's going on right here in our community? The economic war, the housing war. Those are war. The education war. These are all wars. It doesn't have to be wars reference to physical tanks, machine guns, helicopters, missiles. These are wars based on somebody's livelihood. That's a part of the livelihood. And this family fight that they got going over there in Russia, that's a family fight. Has nothing to do with me. That's a family affair situation gone bad. That'd be like you, minister, me getting into your business ministry and saying, well, break it up now. I've been here for years, and you've been here for years. It's like, you know me, but you ain't know my family. That would be like me try to break you and your brother up in between the finances. It's a different situation than being out in the public. But if you in your own house and you got a disagreement, I say, well, let me get out the way. That's a family affair, and I'm in his house. It has nothing to do with me. That's what that equates to. But here again, that goes back to the disinformation that is being brought to us in the mass media, and that we pay too much attention to detail to that. When our detail of attention needs to be put on something else as reference to what is happening where we live at, and how much energy we need to put into getting the right people to make things happen politically. So if I got $100 million, Ministry, you rest assured, I'm going to buy. I'm just telling you that now. So when it happens, I'm going to buy me a politician. I'm gonna buy one. I'm not gonna go vote for one. I'm going to buy one. That way, he's locked into my pocket, and he has to do whatever I tell him to do because he's locked in. That's how politics works. I mean, you can make a vote. Popularity is on the aspect of things, but as far as money, as they say, money talks, and you know the rest.
Right. Well, here it is. I understand that because money talks. It does talk. But, until we, the average person doesn't have that money, average person, well, what the average person can do is get educated and get knowledgeable about where your power is and use that power. Listen, I want to send out a couple of woes. Number one, woe to our Black leaders speaking about outside of the community. Speak about your community first and then go outside. So speak about atrocities that happen in our Black community first. Woe unto you, Black leaders that do not do that. Stop that. You're promoting a different agenda. Stop that. Woe, number two, woe unto a country that does not take care of its own first. Woe, stop that. Stop sending subsidies and monies outside. Let's think what could happen to the 13 billion, what that could do with the homeless. It can build shelters. It can build, and not only the shelters, but education now, which is a form of wealth, because see, education reciprocates. It goes on and on and on and on. And so that's a form of another form of building wealth. So woe unto our Black leaders. Stop that. Quit speaking outside of our community. Speak first to our community and atrocities there. Uh, Speak about Black hate against us. And woe to this a country that does not take care of its own first.
Yeah. Woe to the ones who do not take care of its own first, because they sent out so much being of dazed, and surely they look to confuse its own, which is sad. But we are resilient, as I see it, and we tend to have to muddle through the mud to get to the surface of the truth.
All right, we get there.
But we get there. we get there. We get there. So I invite you to definitely support us on this platform, because we don't want to be the ones where we have gotten high ratings. And even though of the high ratings, that still doesn't equate to me having to fund the people that would be on the platform of the WKTSE Radio. We, of course, trying to build that platform as much as we can, and helping that platform. On this platform, we try to help that station survive so we can put out other venues. We greatly need, besides what would be that Black network channel, we need other media outlets. I mean, if you look down through the diaspora of media, we've had to resort to what we're on now, Minister P, to create our platform, because it's been so much given away. The radio stations given away.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, Minister P, not somebody came out of pocket with cash and bought them. They were given away. A lot of radio stations just given away. A lot of television stations given away, just given away. And then somebody comes in who speaks a second language, gets it. And now they become to have multiple media outlets. And then they'll tell us, well, you got BET, TV1. I said, well, those are still not out, because we're sitting on somebody's outlet. BET, of course, is not even owned by us anymore. So, again, that even speaks for itself there. It's Black Network Channel, not owned by us anymore. See how we just giving away. We're giving away our stuff, and then they're giving away stuff that we should have, which is kind of backwards. That's confusion. That creates confusion. So now we're confused what we need to be hearing and what we need to be on, what we need to be wrapped around. Because you'll surely get somebody as of us that look like us, that'll say, well, we got too many Blacks on YouTube, or we got too many Blacks on this and on that. I said, well, there's a purpose behind it. I would hope that there's a purpose behind that to why they're on there. Hopefully they're on there having some constructive results, because we need it. We need it. We need it bad. We need it bad. We need to be able to put somebody on a research team, or to go out to these very different places, again, as I said before, to get the truth, to not get misinformation, and not to get disinformation, but get the truth information. So I invite you to donate to our platform, what helps the station in itself, WKTSE Radio, all one word, Cash App, KTSE Radio, Cash App. Whatever it invites you to donate, that greatly appreciates. And it's a tax write-off. How about that? Becomes a tax write-off now. Now you're helping. You can't say you didn't help, because somebody will surely ask you, well, if you're talking, what have you done lately for your community? Not your country, as Kennedy said. The country should be saying that in reverse. Like, what have we done for our community? Besides, but so-called, quote unquote, provide protection. Wouldn't need no protection if it wasn't anybody doing any undermining, under table, backdoor treaties. But that's another topic for another day. But I invite you to definitely tune in to us, to this broadcast. It's always a pleasure coming on and as best as I can, as much as it allowed myself and I'm sure Minister P to educate and to bring a knowledge base that could have some constructive result to our community. Our show airs. I know it airs early in the morning. I know some people that Friday night can be a beast, Minister P, on some people, because they're doing God knows what on Friday night.
It's about priority.
Yeah. But even if you decide to do something on Friday night, you see, even if I do something on Friday night, you see, I make it my priority to come forth as much as I can. Whether I'm tired, I'm still getting up and got to keep the work going. Because if I don't do the work, who will? So I invite you to come on our platform. We air from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And of course, you can catch us on replay through the week on Tuesday mornings at 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and Thursday mornings, same time. You can catch, and you can also view us on YouTube at our channel there, KTSE-TV -TV. We are there on that channel as well, bringing, as you see, if you could see us live. Sometimes we go live, sometimes we don't, but you can see, we put the information out there, we broadcast. So then we invite, there have been some people to leave comments, and I have replied to some comments, and I enjoyed that, to reply to some comments that help me make this platform better, to get a better insight on what's happening out in society within. So I invite you to go there, like, share, subscribe, like, share, subscribe, like, share, subscribe, like, share, subscribe. That way we can, again, I'm not looking for the popularity, but I'm looking for problem solving. And that's what we're about on this station, to talk about the situations that's there so we can trigger the frontal lobe of the brain to actually start to get involved in problem solving. And definitely invite you to tune in on Sunday mornings and to get that spiritual education from Minister P from Love at Work Ministries, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. He's there for the most part every Sunday, as Mr. Beat to this point. So he's bringing that spiritual word. So definitely catch Minister P on Love at Work Ministries, and he re-airs. If you don't catch him live that early, he re-airs at 10 a.m. on Sunday. There's a replay of the broadcast, and then there's a replay of the broadcast on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. So I greet you in peace, and I thank you for tuning in if you have heard me this morning. And thank you, audience, as so much as we have embarked on a close to, I believe we're at a year now. We've been going strong.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's a
Celebrate.
celebration. Oh yeah. Let's give us
wow.
an applause.
That's right.
Give ourselves a good round of applause for being on this platform that long and keeping it going and strong, and trying to keep things moving as much as we can.
Keeping it real.
Oh yeah, keeping it real, keeping it informational, keeping it. And like I said, we may talk about some funny subjects. Didn't get off into sports as much, but my alma mater that I used to attend and play for got beat by a raggedy Cinderella team.
Everybody has the opportunity.
Yeah, now that name is really going to be, if it didn't have its footing back in the Fresh Prince show, the Peacocks with Carlton doing the Peacock. Now it's resurfaced. They're talking about making a national day. I said, I'll burn the school down. But in any case, ladies and gentlemen, I just had to get that a little funny in there. But yeah, I was a little disturbed by the defeat. But in any case, life goes on, and you regroup and you come back. Possibly next year, hopefully they can get back to the same process. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that's definitely been our time. Minister P, enjoy your weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your weekend. That's our time. We out.
All right. Peace out.